first, our group massage at 5 p.m. But right now, we pregame for maximum relaxation.
Rest of your life with the last person you slept with, how would you feel?
I don't know. Nathan and I are kind of up in the air. And he called me inconsistent.
What?
No, you crazy. Wow, really?
It's starting.
Drop it down, pick it up, drop it down, pick it up, drop it down, pick it up.
Knock, knock. Here it comes.
Drop it down, pick it up, drop it down, pick it up, pick it up.
What's going on, fam? It's your man, VACAY-J. And if you're new and loving Insecure, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Absolutely like and comment below. We're going to get into episode 7 of season 5 of Insecure. Now, listen, if you missed any episode, definitely go to my Insecure playlist. I feel like we just got started, but we're already on episode 7. And definitely check out all my episode recaps so you can get all caught up on everything. So now let's break down episode 7 of season 5 of Insecure. And again, shout out to writer-director Aniomi for this one. Let's go. All right, so the name of episode 7 is Chillin Okay? And the description reads, a long overdue girls' night filled with self-reflection and real talk puts things into perspective for Issa and her friends. So we first start off with Issa. She's welcoming the girls. She got everything prepared. She got the place prepared. She's letting them know 5 o'clock they're going to the spa. 8 o'clock they have dinner. Until then, they're going to have a good time. She got some doobies rolled up. They're going to bake some cookies. And they're going to have a little bit of adult beverages. You know, they're really going to do what they got to do to really get this girls' night popping and everything. Because they miss each other and it's been a long time. So, of course, you know, Molly's there. Tiffany's there. And you know your girl Kels is there as well. And they're just talking about really how long it's been. And they're not going to mention Molly's mom because they know what happened to Molly's mom. And they're ready to go. They're ready to get it started, get it popping, you know. Tiffany's there as well. She got, you know, away from her husband and the kid. And, yeah, they're having a great time. Molly is definitely baked out high as a kite. And they're taking pictures of, you know, the sunset and everything. They're like, yeah, take a picture of, you know, the natural beauty. So, you know, your girl Kels, she took a selfie and she's like, yes, this is the natural beauty, right? So, of course, the girls is like, there go Kels again, right? So they're really enjoying each other, enjoying themselves. You know, it's been 3 months since they really all got together. And it's been long overdue. So Issa gets a call and she gets a call from the spa. And they say that a pipe busted in the spa and, you know, everything pretty much is canceled for the day. But, you know, it's all good. It's still all good. Of course, they're disappointed. They had plans. You know, Tiff, she wanted, you know, the hot rocks, you know, and Issa's like, listen, I got some rocks I could put in the microwave. And she's like, nah, it's all good. You know, so they're like, hey, we might as well, you know, we got 3 hours to go. We might as well get it popping. So, of course, your girl Kels is like, let me get one of those soggy doobies. Right. So they're having a good time. Of course, you know, Kels, she's definitely making jokes. But they throwing some P. Diddy. They start dancing. You know, they're really getting into it. You know, they're having a girls' night. And it's definitely popping right now. Your girl, Molly, she's definitely really getting into singing this particular song. So Issa, she breaks out the hat and she's like, hey, y'all remember this game, right? Yeah, it's question time. You know, we all write down some questions. And then whoever picks out, you know, the question, you know, we got to answer it. Everybody has to answer it. So Kels is like, listen, I don't want to play this game because it's kind of like, you know, it starts stuff up. I was in retrograde and everything. And Issa's like, stop being scared. Let's play this game. You know, and she's like, I'm not scared. You know, so now we shoot over to Condola's house and there's a knock at the door. She opens up the door and it's Lawrence and baby Elijah. Right. And Lawrence is smiling. So obviously, you know, things are pretty good with them. He's dropping them off, you know, and you know, she's definitely happy to see the baby and she's cool with seeing Lawrence as well. So he's like, you know, everything's fine. Everything's cool. And he walks in and he brings in, you know, some stuff, right? Some packages from outside. He's like, yeah, I found this outside. And she's like, oh, that's some shelves that, you know, I was going to get my friend to put up. And he's like, well, I'm here. You know, do you want me to put it up for you? And she's like, nah, I can get my friend. But he's like, nah, it's okay. You know, I could do it for you. I'm already here. So she's like, okay. So he takes off his jacket and he's about to put up some shells for Condola. Now back at the party, your girl Issa, she's excited about this question hat game, and she pulls out the first question. So the question is, what is an embarrassing fact that none of us know? And Molly admits that she's never seen Love Jones. And she's like, how is that? Like, we was jonesing over, Lorenz Tate and everything. And of course, Kels is like, that's crazy. And she's saying, like, how is that even possible? And Molly's like, who was that? Is that the Love or is that the Jones? And so, Issa's just like, I knew it, man. This is crazy. I knew you didn't see that movie, right? So Kels admits that every day she drank 2 Red Bulls in the morning, and that's probably why she didn't get her period, or she was pregnant for like 5 years, right? Crazy. So Tiffany comes out, she says, hey, listen, when she's, doing some things for herself, she's thinking about, and Issa's like, who is she thinking about, right? She's like, I'm thinking about Derek, and, and Derek is her husband. And Kels is like, you ain't supposed to be thinking about him. You're supposed to be thinking about somebody else. And now it's Kelly's turn, and Kelly's going to now ask the next question. So the next question is, have you broken a friend's vase? And Issa's like, for real? And Molly's like, yo, just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. Obviously, Issa may have broken her vase. So now Tiffany is asking another question. The question is, if you could spend the rest of your life with the last person you slept with, how would you feel? All right. So Kels is like, I'm good. He was rich. And Issa's like, I don't know. Me and Nathan, we're kind of on the rocks right now. And basically she's saying that Nathan said that she's pretty much inconsistent. And they're just like, oh, really? Like kind of in agreement with what he's saying. And Issa's like, really? Am I really inconsistent like that? So she's like, the point is, she doesn't know where they stand right now. And pretty much it's exactly what I said. She said ever since he left my I love you hanging, she's not really sure, And Tiffany's like, hey, listen, you already know how he feels about you. I'm sure he does love you. And, Issa's like, listen, it's all good. I could just keep it moving and keep it moving to the next, on to the next. And Kels is like, listen, see, it's starting. This game is starting to reveal itself. And then they get a knock at the door to get scared. And it's the tenant, Trina. And she's complaining to Issa, hey, there's spiders. And, Issa's like, there's spiders everywhere. And then the girl goes off and says, Kel's a nasty spider. They go back and forth, and all this and that. It's like, what's going on with that? They got a little beef with each other. So now on to the next question. While Issa's asking the question, what goes in first, the cereal or the milk, your girl Molly gets a call. She's like, oh, I got to take this call, right? So she gets up, she grabs her phone, and she goes outside. Meanwhile, they're like, yo, they got to ask better questions. So they go and sneak and see that Molly's talking. She's, giggling and everything. And Kels is like, what kind of work call makes you bite your lip like that? So they're joking on her. And, he's like, yeah, that's Tyrion and everything. So she gives her a question. And the question is, are they making out? Are they getting busy? Right? Of course, Molly is like, Kels, get out of here. We're not getting busy. And pretty much Molly's like, yo, there's a vibe going on, there's an energy going on. And she's just waiting, she's just kind of waiting to get kind of like that, give him that green light. And then what happens? John Legend comes on to the Bose speakers singing, give me the green light. So she's like, that's the sign. She needed the sign. She got the sign. So she's going to go and talk to Torian, and try to get with him and all of that, right? So now we shoot over to Condola's house. And she's trying to feed, Elijah and everything. Your boy, Lawrence, is done with the shows. He's like, hey, tell your friends I'm booked, right? So his son laughs at his joke. And he's like, oh, your son laughing at your dad jokes. He's like, oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? So she's trying to feed him. And, they're definitely bonding right there. And Elijah's definitely loving his dad, definitely loving his dad. So she's trying to feed him, and she's like, yeah, he doesn't like squash. So Lawrence is like, listen, I do the choo-choo train. I don't do the airplane. I do the choo-choo train. And she's like, really? Okay, well, let me see what you got. Show me what you got. So Lawrence comes over, and he's like, choo-choo, everything coming through with whatever it is, and he actually eats the squash. So they both are like, yeah, they're really excited that he actually ate the squash and that, his choo-choo train method worked. And they're having a moment and a bonding moment right there. And the great part that happens is she's like, you know what? You're really a good dad. And he definitely takes a moment to absorb that, take that in. And he says, you know, thank you. That really means a lot. You know, they're definitely bonding at this point. Now, back at the party, you got your girl, Molly. She's asking the next question. So if you could do it all over, you can get a do-over, what would it be? What would you do? Right? So they're like, yeah, that's a good question, right? So Tiff is like, listen, I wouldn't do anything over. You know, me and Derek, we've gone through everything just to get this far. And, you know, this definitely is what it is. And that's the way we're going. And, you know, Issa's like, man, that's great. That's great. You know, that's awesome. And, you know, they're looking at her like, yeah, that's really good. And, you know, your girl Issa is just like, hey, you know, I wish I would have started earlier. Kels is like, listen, I had to die to really find purpose. So now your girl Issa has made some Cool Ranch cookies, and I've never had any Cool Ranch cookies before. Definitely, Issa, send me some Cool Ranch cookies, right? So they sit down, and now it's time to ask the next question. The question is, if you can mess around with, you know, one of your friend's exes, who would it be, right? So they get all spicy, start laughing, and, you know, they start talking about Issa's exes, how they would get with this guy because of this and get this guy because of that. And, you know, they're kind of joking around. And, you know, Issa's like, yeah, you know, he did, you know, pack some extra stuff, right? But she starts reflecting again. And, yeah, they're talking about Lawrence and everything. And she's like, yeah, Lawrence, you know, she's kind of like missing Lawrence. And, yeah, they're looking at each other at the table. And, you know, really, it's like she's kind of talking about how she feels bad about the way that she and her and Lawrence broke up. You know, pretty much, you know, she knew that he was having a baby and she reflected on things, but she really, really misses him. She really misses Lawrence, and she's admitting and being honest that she really loved him. And when everything went down, at the end of the day, she kind of feels bad about it. So, of course, the girls are just like, listen, you made the right decision. You know, you dodged the bullet, you know, and, you know, Tiffany's like, how did she make the right decision? And Molly's like, hey, listen, like, you know, she didn't want to be somebody's stepmom. And Tiffany's just like, hey, you know, you made the right decision. It is what it is. And you made a smart decision as well. You know, not every decision is the right decision. Not every decision is the smart decision. Kelly's like, you made both, right? So now she's still reflecting on everything that she just talked about, all right? So now they're like, listen, we need to go get dressed. So they're starting to get dressed so they can go to dinner. You know, they partying it up, pregame and everything, get a little drinks on. And, of course, you know, Issa's dancing throughout the house. Your girl, you know, Tiffany's like, yeah, you look nice and everything else like that. She had her earrings. And Molly just has a moment, and she's like, you know, I miss you guys a lot. I love you. So they have their group hug. They get it all together, right? And, you know, Kels is like, why am I crying and everything? And then the next thing you know, Tiff is like, me and Derek are moving to Denver. And they're like, what? What's going on, right? So she's talking, and she's just like, Tiff is like, yeah, you know, Derek got a offer for a new job, a new promotion. It's good money. His family's in Denver. And she, you know, Kelly's like, yo, why didn't you just tell me? Why don't you tell me? And Tiff is like, hey, listen, you know, once I told you, I knew that it would be real. And she's just really afraid, really kind of like, you know, this is a good move for the family, but she's afraid to, you know, leave her friends. She's afraid to leave, you know, the people that really hold her down, you know. And she's like, what if I get depressed again? You know, what if things go wrong and you guys are not there? And Molly's like, listen, we'll be on the first flight out to come see you, right? So they get all together, and they're reassuring Tiff that, hey, you know, we're friends and we're going to be here for each other, and we're going to hold you down no matter what. We're going to hold you down no matter what. So it's about that time to go to dinner, and they're like, nah, we don't need to go to dinner. We could just hang out, stay here, to spend more time with each other, right? Boom. So now we shoot back over to Condola's house. And Lawrence, hey, he's washing the dishes. She's folding clothes. He's happy. He's talking with her. And he's like, yeah, you know, I knew things were good when your sister, you know, friended me on the social media. And Condola's like, yeah, that was like a mistake. And he's like, what? He's like, I'm going to take all the wins I can get. So, you know, he starts helping her fold. And he's like, hey, listen, you know, I know things was rough with us, but I think we're in a better place. And, you know, I had to do what I had to do to come back here. And she's like, yeah, I don't want you to feel like, you know, you're not happy or you gave things up. And he's like, nah, I'm all good. And they kind of just talk about how things were rough. And she expresses how in the beginning when things weren't working out, she basically had that postpartum and she was going to, do something to hurt herself. And he's apologizing to her. He said that he was a jerk. And they basically are saying now they just want each other to be happy. They're in a better place. There was a learning curve and they're going to continue to work on doing things, what's best for Elijah and everything else like that. Right? Good stuff. So now the girls, they're like, listen, let's change up. Let's get comfortable. They're popping bottles. They're about to get, busy and start dancing. Of course, your girl Molly, she's popping and dropping and doing all this and that. They're just having a great time. Even though they didn't go to dinner, they're still able to have a good time with each other and bond with each other as friends. And that's a great thing. So they're hanging out, they're reflecting, they're just relaxing. And Issa comes up with the idea to text Torian. And of course, Molly's like, what are you going to say? Like, what? What's going on? And they kind of going back and forth. Like, Kel's like, yeah, when are we going to get together? And they're trying to figure out what they're going to say to Torian to kind of show that, she has interest in him, right? So Molly puts together a message and she shows Issa. And Issa's like, what happened? Somebody's calling you. Like, who's this Dro calling you? Why is he calling you? And Molly's like, I don't know. Maybe he's calling to, check up on my mom and everything else like that. So that's Molly's ex. So Kels is like, see, I told you the exes are among us and we have to get ahead of it. We have to go ahead and get ahead of it. And she's like, see, this guy just messaged me. And Tiffany's like, yo, you messaged him first. And Kel's like, listen, it's all right. I just trying to get ahead of it. I'm trying to get ahead of it. So what does Issa do? She calls Lawrence. And of course, Molly's like, what are you doing? You calling Lawrence? And she grabs and snatches the phone out of her hand. They're all pretty much kind of drunk right now. And, Issa's like, yeah, just like Kelly said, we got to get ahead of it. And Molly's like, come on, what was you really going to say? If you answer the phone, what would you going to say? And Issa's like, listen, I don't know. It would have been like, hey, it's been a long time and a lot of things has happened. We need to talk. So Molly's like, hey, listen, I'm your friend, right? Remember that thing that they was talking about, that Nathan was talking about as far as you being like inconsistent? Well, guess what? That's what you're doing right now. Now, listen, we're all pretty tipsy. In the morning, if you feel you want to call them when you're sober, go ahead and do that, right? Go ahead and do that. She's all right. Thanks. So now it's the morning time and she sends the ladies off, tells them, hey, call me when you get home. Let me know you got home safe. So she's about to clean up the house and she gets a message from Nathan like, hey, let's talk when you get a moment. So they get on the phone. She calls him. He's like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, everything's good. And he's asking how, was the girls' night? It was all good. And pretty much she's kind of talking to her and letting her know, hey, listen, I've been thinking and, about everything. And I just want to let you know that I do love you. I do love you. And I always have loved you. And, I was kind of like in my feelings about it. And she was like, yeah, well, I'm sorry I put all that pressure on you. He was like, nah. It was really me just being childish. And he's being real transparent with her right now and letting her know that, it's all good and that he does love her. So she's like, are you going to stay? You still going to stay in town? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to stay. I'm not going to leave town. I'm going to just figure it out and we still going to make it happen, right? She is, of course, happy about that because she really loves him, right? So he's like, I love you. Talk to you later. So now she gets another call. And she picks up the phone and she's like, oh, shoot, guess who's calling her now? It's your boy Lawrence calling Issa. And he's ringing the phone and it went to voicemail. And she's like, yo, she doesn't know what to do. She's surprised. Obviously, Lawrence is calling her back because she did ring his phone last night. So that is the end of episode 7 of Insecure. Definitely a revealing and absolutely a deep episode. They really went in deep with this one right here. Absolutely, I loved it because they were pretty much being honest with each other. So that's the recap of Insecure episode 7. And you know what it is. It's your man, VACAY-J. I'm out. Salute.